So I've just finished my group coaching call with the guys, and we were looking at some of the qualities and traits that lead to a date, even a second date. And I was asking them, what are the things that are missing in your life? What's the things that are missing your qualities, especially when you go out in the dating world? What's the thing that's in the way of not getting to a second date? And some of the things I want to share, some of the things that the guy said, and these are kind of like generic things that apply to everybody, and this can apply to maybe in early the process of dating, maybe in the mid process of dating, and this can definitely come up, especially in the relationship phase of it. So some of the things that don't lead to a second date is usually if you withdraw. So, for example, you're having a date and you become absent-minded, you withdraw from really going deep into the conversation, and you're thinking, well, it's better if I pull back, it's safer. I don't want to make a fool of myself, look stupid. So that could be one of the things, is that you start to withdraw and you're not really present. And I've been in, say, networking events, I've been with guys in a social situation. The guys will be engaged, and then the next minute they're like looking around and they're like, yeah, what? And they're very short answers. They're not very deep answers, and they don't really ask questions back. So withdrawal can lead to a disconnection or not building a connection. So that's one. The second one thing is avoidance itself. So I'm avoiding getting into a connection, avoiding getting into a relationship or a connection. So you just keep everybody at arm's length. So everything is superficial. You don't want to talk about yourself, your vulnerabilities, and you don't have to share every vulnerability, everything about yourself. It's just a little bit about, the struggles that you might have come across in your life. And when you start to really avoid wanting to answer their questions, you may have maybe play it off as a joke, or you may just give a very light answer, not real depth, and not really thought about it. So that could be real avoidance. And just thinking, what's he hiding? Why he doesn't have the capacity to go more in himself? There might be lack of introspection within yourself. So that's one of the things. Another thing that came up was indecisiveness. Now, indecisiveness is very high feminine energy, which is more emotional energy. For a guy to be umming, ahhing, should I not, should I, that can be really off-putting. It can be off-putting to the feminine in the attraction phase, but it also is very off-putting to your friends. It's like, for heaven's sake, make a decision. What do you want? I don't know what I want. Maybe I should sit there. Maybe I should sit there. Would you like this? Would you like this? And you're constantly looking for approval. So when we have a lot of indecision, is because we are afraid to make a concrete decision. Because if I make a concrete decision and then I don't like it, that can make me be the bad person, and then they can shame me, ridicule me. So you're really afraid of losing disapproval. That's one of the things, is if you look at all these traits, most of them will boil down to, I don't want to be disapproved. I want them to like me. I want them to always think highly of me. Abundance. So the next one is too much abundance. So we normally have scarcity mindset. Scarcity is there's not enough great women out there, which is not true. If you're active, if you're stuck in inaction, you're not getting active enough, you're not going out enough, you're not doing enough to create things, then the abundance mindset will set in. So abundance comes from a lot of action. So you've got to have consistent action. Abundance doesn't come from like, there's a great women, there's great women, there's great women. No, you need to give your mind some evidence about this, consistent evidence. So abundance is amazing to work on. And when you come from an abundant state, then you come from a place of not always needing approval. You don't always need to see their validation, whether they like you or not, because you know that, I'm good with you, I'm good without you. I'm okay being in this relationship, being in this date. And if things don't work out, cool, there's plenty of fish in the sea. So abundance mindset. But when you have too much abundance, say, okay, well, I want to go on this date. If things don't work out, I've got another date. I've got another date. I've got another date. This can then go into the earlier kind of like traits I mentioned, is that you wouldn't go far deep. So you wouldn't have depth in the connection. So you're afraid of going really deep in the connection because you're thinking, well, I'm just going to stay at the surface level. There's plenty of girls. I'm sure one would like me. But if you're not building enough connection, women need connection. This is such an important part, especially in modern days. If there's no depth in connection, then there is no bonding in connection. So you cannot bond without connection. So you've got to be able to connect. But if you're constantly thinking of there's going to be plenty of women, I don't care, I can just go and meet someone, then you probably won't make the effort to go deep and really connect, ask questions, get intrigued by them. That's what it means by really building connection. The second thing is lacking confidence. I lack confidence. I don't have the confidence. And the way that shows up, and this again is like indecisive, hesitation, approval seeking behavior, asking question, is this the right way? So your perfectionism is coming out now. And because you don't have enough experience, most guys lack the 4 E's, which is experience, experiment, entry, and exit. So when we don't have enough experience, then what happens is that you're constantly looking for validation. Are you doing it right? Is this the right thing? Is this, you're looking for for her to say, yeah, well done, this is good. And then you'll continue. So you're worried about her being upset, angry, or maybe disapproving of you, rolling her eyes at you. So you're very skittish around here. So confidence comes when you can handle yourself. You can handle yourself in any given situation. So there might be a shit test. She might really challenge you, push you off, try to push you off your game, try to push you off your frame. Whereas you're like, hey, I can handle myself. I can bring myself back and I can handle myself. No matter what situation I'm in, I got this. And that's the kind of energy you want to be able to emanate. Is no matter what the situation is, no matter what's happening on the date, I got this. And that, again, is such a powerful trait. And that, again, it comes with a lot of work. There's a lot of fracture healing that we have to do, especially the ego. Is like, I got this. I trust myself. I know that in any situation, I can handle myself. If it's a new situation, I don't know what it's like, I can figure it out. So there's a lot of self-trust in this one. Okay, the next thing, another thing that came up was, again, stress test. So what comes up for lack of second dates is that when a woman will stress test you, you crumble. You lose frame, you lose composure, you end up going into what I call a deaf response. This is like a trauma response. So you end up defending yourself, rationalizing yourself, explaining yourself, and then you go into this verbal vomit of this. You might end up excusing yourself, making excuses after excuses after excuses. So that's a D, the E. Then the A is you might become argumentative, like, no, my way's right. And then you might start to attack the other person, try to force your point, and now the ego is really engaged in trying to have a combative fight here. So you'll become combative. So that you're having a deaf response. Fourth one is F. DEAF. F stands for fawning. And that means that you will start to please her. You will really start to make sure that she doesn't get upset. So fawning is a response of, oh, I upset her a little bit, I better back off. And then I better not say anything that will rock the boat. Better not have a strong opinion that might upset her. So you kind of back off. So fawning, and then you're pleasing, and then you're over accommodating, over trying to please her so she's not upset. Oh, this is another one that doesn't lead to second dates, is you're trying way too hard to impress her. What low value guys, what the average guy does is, the nice guy, they try to impress women. Whereas the quality gentleman, the high quality kind of guy, is a high value man, a man of great value, great virtues, great character, personality. He looks to assess. So low value, nice guys impress on dates. The high value guy is looking for to assess her, to assess. So the nice guy will tend to say, will she like me? Would I be funny enough? Would I be impressive enough? Would she be impressed by me? Am I going to be cool enough? He'll have all of these. Will I be? Will I be? Am I? Am I? Am I? So these are things that, am I impressing her? Is she going to want to date me? She want to kiss me? Does she find me stimulating enough? All of these things will run in his mind. Whereas the higher value man who's assessing would be like, is she funny enough? Is she impressive enough? Is she smart enough? Is she, got good qualities? Is she more family oriented? Is she more a good investment? Does she have a great outlook in life? So he'll be looking at all of these assessments rather than trying to see if I'm up to her standard. Is like looking at, is she up to my standard? So that's an important one. Trying to over impress, trying to boast, trying to name drop, all of these things. Another one. So yeah, we've covered scarcity that came up. Some guys will look at trying to seek attachment. So really over attaching, getting over fused with her rather than actually building a connection. So so when you're over attached, what happens is you don't have a connection. You have a one-way kind of attachment to the person. So there's no connection flowing between you. So connection means flowing of ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions, understanding. That's what happens in connection. Whereas when you're attached, it's like, I want, I want, I want. And that's the most, I want to take value from you. Gimme, 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 gimme. So you're just constantly trying to suck out value from the other person. You're constantly wanting things from the other person. Whereas in a connection, again, it's like a flow. It's a flow of value. It's a flow of understanding, flow of connection. It's a flow of ideas, flow of challenging each other. There's a flow. There's a back and forth. Attachment, there's only gimme, 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 gimme. I'm attached. I only want one result. So that can really, for example, a lot of guys would go on the date is like, I only want sex with her. That's it. That's what I want. I want her to like me. I want her this. So there's always these attachments they have, but they fail to consider about, what her needs are, her wants are. And again, it can happen the other way. So there are some girls that go out, so some women will go out and they're all self-absorbed about what they want. So that's the ego. Will he take me on an impressive date? Will he be really impressive? Will he be paying for everything? Will he want to? So again, it's very much self-absorbed is the ego. The ego fracture is very much about me, me, me. Yeah. Okay. Another one that comes up for second dates is getting flustered. Is again, it comes back to composure. I lose my cool. I lose my calm because things change. Plans change. And a lot of guys who are on a spectrum, you like on an ADHD autism spectrum, they need things to be really certain. They need things to be predictable. As soon as you take away predictability, then the guy's panic is like, what do I do now? And then instead of leading, instead of like having that confidence, is like, I can handle myself. He then goes to her and defers to her. He's waiting for her leadership, her approval, how to handle the situation. He hasn't got enough reference point of like, how do I handle the situation? And again, it comes from the 4 E's, the lack of experience. So the more experience you have handling yourself, different environments, different situations, you'll build more confidence, and then you'll have more trust on yourself. So these were some of the things that guys came up. I'm just trying to think of anything else when it comes to second dates. So when it comes to getting to the second date, third date, fourth date. So I have what I call the 5 C's. The 5 C's are built on the 5 masculine fractures. So when we have these fractures, it keeps us in a real self-sabotaging way. It sabotages our dates, our relationships, our connections, and our mental health, well-being, and everything around our life. The 5 C's are what we need to focus and work on. So the first C is composure. Staying cool, calm, composed, maintaining a frame. Now, can you imagine a guy who walks on the date and he's flustered, he's all over the place, easily stressed? He's instantly going to make her feel unsafe. It's like this guy can't handle himself. Bit of pressure and he crumbles. So what would happen if he was out in the wild and he had to, hunt, and then there was a bit of pressure and he crumbled. He couldn't bring the hunt home. So that's her first instinct that woman wants to see. The guy's cool, calm, and composed. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be cool as eyes as cool as James Bond or Thomas Shelby. And it's natural to be a little bit nervous, but that's okay. But if you let that nervousness run away, then it'll really put her on guard, and it will take a long time for her nervous system to really trust and relax. So they'll make your work twice as hard, make the date twice as hard. So the first thing is to be really cool and calm. And the more dates you go on, the more people you connect with, it'll just be like, oh, it's another interaction. One of the things I tell the guys is when you go out and become sociable, you got to meet people because of your character, not because of what they are. So, for example, when guys see a attractive woman, they perk up, a lot of energy, and they're like really interested in her, and they'll make the effort. And then somebody they're not really attracted to or they don't really care about, they're like, oh, can't be bothered. And what I say to them is, you're very dependent on the outside world. So what you do is you change that around, and it's your character that has that energy. So no matter who is in front of you, you behave in exactly the same way, whether it's an attractive woman or not so attractive woman. You behave in exactly the same way because that behavior comes from a character, not how it looks, or not putting anybody on a pedestal. And when you do meet some beautiful women, or when you do meet some people of high status, your character has done enough reps and it realizes that I always meet people regardless of who they are. And that's real, genuine caring and character, because your character is doing the connection. So remember, stay composed in that manner, because if you're flustered, you're all over the place, you're over nervous, over anxious, it'll put on guard. Because remember, she's got twice as much mirror neurons. The second thing is confidence. You really got to have inner silent confidence. That comes from real strength. So you have a guy who's really well composed, really well put together, dresses well, good body language, and then he has inner confidence. He doesn't put you on a pedestal, but neither does his ego put you on the gutter. So he's never going to see you as above or below. He just sees you as you are, sees you as the equal. Now, when you go and put somebody on a pedestal, you're already making somebody uncomfortable. And she doesn't want a guy who thinks she's more than his value. So now she's feeling conned, right? Well, you're putting me on a pedestal, and the value you're giving to me, I don't feel like I'm getting a good deal here. I'm not getting a good trade. So you're putting yourself low. That's not a good value. And also, when you put people on a pedestal, you also create a cognitive dissonance, which means that, oh my God, you're amazing, you're beautiful. And then you have this perfect kind of like ideology about her. You have this perfect perspective about this woman. But inside, she's going, well, I'm also flawed. I've also got things wrong with me. By putting her on a pedestal, you create a cognitive dissonance. And then she's thinking, well, there are a lot of things I'm not happy about, not proud of. And then you will have this great expectation of her. So when you make out to be perfect, and then she will have to feel like she'll have to live up to that. So there's a lot of pressure on them. So the real confidence comes with really trusting, seeing people, not putting people on a pedestal, and also doing a lot of what I call difficult work, consistent work. And then you start building and trusting yourself. So you have to really re-image yourself, really have to build your self-esteem, your self-worth. And that starts by really respecting yourself. That's one of the steps, is really respecting the kind of person you are. If you don't respect yourself, if you don't have any care about yourself, and you think, you're constantly complaining, moaning about yourself or the world outside, and you don't respect the world outside as well, then there is going to be some issues coming up with confidence. So confidence is real silent. It doesn't have to boast. It doesn't have to exaggerate. It is what it is. And then the ego fracture, which is about confidence, is if she rejects you and you're like, cool, I'm okay. But unfortunately, a lot of guys who get rejected become incredibly nasty. They have what I call the spoiled brat reflex. So they have tantrums, they sulk, they attack her back. That is pathetic. That is real pathetic behavior. And then they shut off and they close off, and then like the world's a problem. Everybody gets rejected. Rejection is part of life. You really have to develop a thick skin here. Your ego, where it's really fractured, becomes incredibly sensitive towards rejection. So the ego fracture hates anything of disapproval or any kind of rejection or any kind of like you're not good enough, because when it's really fractured, it keeps thinking I'm not good enough. So you really have to build your confidence. You have to do things consistently that builds your confidence, your self-worth, and you feel proud of yourself. So make sure you're doing enough things on a regular basis that you're proud of. So if I have guys who are really successful at work and they're sloppy outside, I'm like, sort your health out, sort your room out. I mean, these guys are killing it at work, killing it at businesses. Some guys are making millions, but outside of that, they're not really taking care of themselves, not doing some difficult things outside of work. So really work on that. The third thing is connection, being able to really connect with a woman. And that takes a lot more effort for guys who are especially engineering kind of engineering brain, very logical, very systematic thinking. That was me. I was very systematical, logical. And what that meant was I was less connecting on the emotional level. Nowadays, gentlemen, it's super important to connect to women on an emotional level, because especially women in the West, women are earning their own money. They'll be able to provide for that. The government, the world, society, has a lot of provision for women. So women are really well looked after in this world. So therefore, your provision and providing isn't enough necessary. It is for, especially in the poor countries, it is. But now in the more modern world, you need to be able to give more or something different than just provision, because she might be earning really well money. What she doesn't want is just another guy who's like, oh, I just provide money and I have the house and I work and that's all. And the guys, and that was the kind of like the guys, that kind of belief I had as well. It's like, oh, you know what? Why isn't she happy? I provide everything. You've got money in the bank. You've got food. You've got house. Everything else. What else do I need to provide? Why are you not unhappy? So that kind of like the belief I had. What was missing was connection. So for the feminine, for women, and human nature, just human themselves, connection is a vital part of life, especially for the feminine, because the feminine is very much nurturing, connective based kind of energy. So the feminine energy requires a lot of connection, depth in connection, and be able to go deeper in connection. So you've got to be able to connect, and it's going to be back and forth, be able to share ideas, stories, emotions, challenges, feelings, what's really going on in the world. Again, you don't have to go too much, but one of the things I tell guys is when you start to use more emotive words, she'll feel more safe, connected to you. So it's just adding some more emotional words when you're communicating with someone more feminine. When you're communicating with someone more logical, then you use more logical words. For most guys, that isn't a problem. But when it comes to connecting with the feminine, you've got to use more emotive words which will warm up her heart. Like the word warm up her heart. Warm is, again, it'll give you that emotion. So more emotive words, more storytelling, more challenges about how was your day? Yeah, I was all right. I was really exhausted. I was tired. And I was really second guessing about something. You go deeper into the story. You go deeper into connection. And you can see that I've got two boys. And I'm like, hey, how was school? Yeah, good. That was it. And sometimes I ask guys like this, how are you? Yeah, good. All right. And she wants more than that. Okay. So you need to have the capacity in your own timing as well. So sometimes you won't feel like communicating and say, hey, listen, I'm really closed off right now. I've got a lot of things in my head. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to take my time, to take some time for myself to recharge, rejuvenate, because I'm exhausted with all these ideas and thoughts that I have in my head. And there's a lot of pressure on me right now. Maybe there's a work pressure, maybe there's a family pressure. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm taking some time out to myself just to recharge. It doesn't mean I don't want to connect to you. It just means that I will, when I'm ready, I will reach out to you. I am thinking about you, but right now, I really got to focus on myself, because a lot of guys do go inwards when they're in a problem. The feminine likes to connect, so it goes out to connect when it's troubled, but guys normally go inwards. but being able to articulate, hey, I need to go inwards. And when you do come out, just say, like, I was inside and I needed to really spend time in my own thoughts. And when I try to express, when I'm processing my thoughts, it can be very difficult and it gets me frustrated. It gets me annoyed. So when you ask me questions in the moment when I'm processing things, it interrupts my process. So I need to be able to process everything, work everything out, and then ease the pressure. Then I'm able to be more connected. So when you can be able to communicate and articulate that, it gives her nerve fracture a bit of certainty, and it relaxes and calms her down. So that's one of the things. So that's connection. The next the next aspect is chemistry, being able to create chemistry. Now, if you've got composure, you've got confidence, and then you've got connection, chemistry is like a byproduct. You don't really have to do a lot when you have the first three in place. But chemistry is important as well because there's a model called the AAR model, so the intimacy model. So in the AAR model, I'll talk about attention, attraction, and relationship. Now, it's very important, especially that the attraction principles, which is very different to the relationship principles. And again, I will talk more in this model, and this will be on my YouTube channel as well. So, guys, make sure you subscribe and like and comment. And then the more you do this, the more I can help other guys as well. So in the AR model, the attraction phrase is very important. A lot of nice guys, a lot of guys who are very people pleasing, very like, I don't want to be like the other guys, they kind of like bypass the first two phases, which is the attention and attraction. And they kind of go into the relationship, which is over connecting, being predictable. But when it comes to attraction, you want mystery, you want suspense, you want surprises. You don't want to be too available. You want to have all of these, I would say, titillating kind of traits. Do women like them? Of course they love them. Have you ever read a romance book? If not, I urge you to read a romantic book because attraction, seduction, it's sensual, it's slow, it's patient, it's titillating. It's like eating some delicious food and savoring every single mouthful of it. Whereas guys, their version of seduction is just want to eat, be done. It's more practical, to the point. And we know this because if you look at the way guys watch pornography, they want to get straight to the point. Whereas women, when they are, they like romance novels, romantic movies, and it's all the back, the forth, the tension, the coming closer, moving back. There's all this drama that goes on. That's to them is that dance. And women love that dance. So if you stop dancing, then she just feels like this is boring. He's not making an effort. He doesn't care. I mean, you do care, but you're not showing that. So when guys get into relationships, they become very predictable, very boring. They stop doing all this stuff. What they're interested in, what they're focused in, they're fusing. There's too much focus on the relationship. They don't have any of that surprise element. They're too available. They're too predictable. They're not a challenge anymore, but they are challenged. So they stop doing the attraction kind of principles. And again, I will cover that in the AAR model. So make sure you check that out in YouTube as well. So we've got that chemistry. The fifth element is contentment. And contentment means that you are able to have contentment in your own life. So you surround yourself with great people, great energy, and you work on that. And you create a great life that you want. And you go and trust your gut more, you trust your instincts more, your intuition more, and you're really living a full life. And the last thing that you have to do is become more purposeful. So when we're very egotistical, we're very much me. It's about take. And then when you become more healing the spiritual fracture, and when you bring more contentment, you bring more peace to the world. And you think about not just yourself, but you think about maybe your neighbors, your family, people around you. And you start to think about causes greater than yourself. And that's the contentment part. And then you have a deeper connection with yourself. You start to trust your intuition, your gut feeling, your own internal signals and your internal guide, and then you really function from the inside rather than the outside. So really bringing more peace and harmony and bringing more alignment to what it is that aligns with you. And then your gut feelings will tell you. Maybe you had a gut feeling about a red flag, was like, she's trouble, better not go there. But you kind of like ignored it because she was hot, or maybe she was giving you lots of sex. So you kind of ignored that gut feeling, and then you got fused, and then the whole relationship became one relationship that you should have got out, exited a long time ago. So working on these 5 C's, the characteristics of a really great man, integrated man, which means that he has light and he's dark, and you bring that together, is a great recipe for having a more, I would say, powerful life, more happier life, content life. Not a perfect life. No one has the recipe for a perfect life. But what we can do is just add some things that will make life worth living, worth protecting, worth enjoying, worth sharing. So, guys, if you got any questions, please, again, I'm Faisal. I'm a life coach for men, and I'm focusing on helping a lot of guys heal their 5 masculine fractures. If you've got any questions, you can always send me messages on Instagram as well. And I do lots of coaching programs. I've got a group work that I work with the guys, and those guys who just want to learn a bit more about how to heal their 5 masculine fractures and have developed the 5 C's, and then also do one-to-one coaching as well. So if you really want to delve into your 5 fractures and see, Faisal, which are the ones that are really causing me challenges and the problems, then again, we go into that, because everybody has blind spots. Everybody needs support. Everybody needs guidance. And that's one of the things that's missing in society today. We're ill-guided, or we're not guided enough, and we don't have the good guidance and support. I'm very grateful for all the men and the women who've guided me. Both. You need to have guidance from both men and women, and support from them as well. So, if you don't have that in your world, it's highly critical and important to get that. You look at most successful people in the world, athletes, they have coaches, they have people that support them, sharpen them. And you look at successful business people, they always have people on their side who will support them. Even Apple's boss, I forgot his name now, I just got mine, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs had Bill Campbell, one of the trillion-dollar coaches, called. And at one point, Steve Jobs was about to give up on Apple, was about to just throw it all in, because he was so overwhelmed and there were some problems that he was facing. And his coach kind of helped him and guided him through it. And he coached a lot of big companies as well, like Google. He coached quite a few, Facebook, social media. So there's always been guides, because when you're inside the box, you cannot see the label. And these are blind spots. Everybody needs it. I need it. You need it. And there's plenty of free guidance and support. But also, when you really want to get into real quality kind of guidance and support, then you need to start seeking more deeper coaching.